Okay, wonderful. We are live everywhere. Great, I will let everyone in. Good morning, Miami Lakes. Are you with us this morning? All right, I actually see Englewood is with us, but Englewood, I'm going to go ahead and move you all to the waiting room since you aren't until later in the block.
Good morning, Team All America. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Can you start your video just so we can make sure that we can see you okay?
I'll get that going for you guys right now. Alrighty, guys, can you see our team?
Yes, you guys look and sound great. I'm going to hand you over to Angela, who will count you down.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. Good morning, Miami Lakes, Florida. Are you ready to begin?
We are ready.
Excellent. Then you may begin.
Should I begin?
Perfect, I'll go ahead and get the PowerPoint presentation. If you can make me a co-host would be great so I can go ahead and share my screen.
Yes, you should be a co-host.
Now that I've lost.
It's saying disabled participant screen sharing.
Can you try one more time for me?
Perfect. Can you guys see the presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. Just give me 1 second there. Let me get this all set up here. Alrighty, so we are good to go. Are we okay to go ahead and start?
You may begin.
You may begin.
All right. Well, good morning, All America City judges. From Cowtown to Newtown and now the town of Miami Lakes. I'm Andrea Graham-Richichi, representing the 4th generation of the Graham family and developers of Miami Lakes. My family, led by my grandfather, Bill Graham, decided to turn our dairyland into a new town in the 1960s. Designed as a master plan community, Miami Lakes is recognized for its parks, lakes, and unique hometown atmosphere. My grandfather envisioned Miami Lakes as a place where families and businesses would grow, and individuals living in Miami Lakes would be proud to be called themselves a Miami Laker. Coming from a family of farmers, the old saying, it is important to leave the land better than you found it. And we're excited, as you're about to hear from some Miami Lakers and how they're finding ways daily to make the lives better than it was the day before for their neighbors.
My name is Claricel de Cárdenas, Director of Community Affairs for the growing beautifully town of Miami Lakes. As Andrea mentioned, Miami Lakes has grown into a beautiful community since its inception 6 decades ago. In today's presentation, you will hear from dedicated members of our community on their efforts of engagement, collaboration, inclusiveness, and innovation. You will hear from Dennis Brenes, Vice President of Giving Gators, on how local nonprofit organizations like theirs suspended their normal operations to assist the community during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. You will hear from Dottie Wicks, Chair of the Elderly Affairs Committee, on how the town's boards and committees have created a positive living environment for the community, as well as from Hector Abad, a local school social worker and member of the Mental Health Task Force and Education Advisory Board, from Elsa Reus, who organized a virtual event focusing on hope and unity, and from Vivian Levy, Chair of the Special Needs Advisory Board, on how they are working with our police department towards becoming a model town for inclusion.
My name is Manny Sid, and I am the mayor of the town of Miami Lakes. This past year, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the town's incorporation. Since the beginning, local leaders, including myself, recognized that civic capacity was essential and necessary for preserving a well-balanced government. The town's boards and committees provide an excellent opportunity for residents to participate in the public process. This unique formula allows diverse stakeholders to contribute civically and provide a different perspective to address the challenges of the community. In 2019, our town led the way in live remote public comments when we became the first city in the United States to implement this technology. Who knew that a year later, it would become common practice?
My name is Dennis Bernis. I'm Vice President of Giving Gators, a nonprofit organization that was founded by a group of parent volunteers with the purpose of serving underprivileged students within our community. During the COVID-19 pandemic shutdown, many in our community were affected. It was then that Operation Groceries for Seniors was born. We joined forces with other local nonprofits and close to 30 local businesses and hundreds of volunteers to help those in need. This was a commitment that had volunteers working selflessly for more than 14 weeks, offloading pallets of food, sorting, packing, and delivering groceries to homebound senior citizens and their families. During this time, we collected and distributed close to $500,000 worth of groceries, and we delivered 14,000 bags of food. We also organized drive-through events to distribute almost 10 pallets of PPE during the height of the pandemic. In the end, we donated over 20,000 masks, gloves, and thousands of hand sanitizer bottles and non-perishable items. We are committed to continuing helping families through our community pantry. Coming together to help our neighbors is what makes our town great.
My name is Dottie Wicks, and I'm Chair of the Elderly Affairs Committee. I've been a member of the committee for more than 15 years, advocating for the town's most vulnerable population and on a mission to identify the needs of our senior. When our aging friends started moving away because they could no longer live on their own, we pushed for the development and approval of a senior village, an age-restricted community with a senior center and assisted living facility. It is important to us to age in place close to our friends and family. We have advocated for safer sidewalks, crosswalks, and the development of programs and activities to keep seniors physically and socially active. We assist seniors, veterans, and disabled residents during the threat of a hurricane to prepare their homes and property. Since the beginning, we lobbied the town to offer on-demand transportation services so our aging population is independent and socially active. Thanks to our voices, 16,000 annual safe rides are provided to our seniors.
My name is Marta Gonzalez, and I've been a resident of Miami Lakes for 20 years. The Elderly Affairs Committee is a champion for seniors, and it's my honor to give and participate to this cause. When COVID-19 struck our community, the members under the leadership of Ms. Dorothy Week had twofold idea. They partnered with local restaurants which were affected by the pandemic to provide meals to local seniors and homebound residents. This helped our local economy and brought joy to so many. On delivery day, my hands and my hearts are full. I'm greeted with a big smile and a grateful heart. Many express the gratitude and happiness they feel when they receive a meal and a friendly face. Some call me their angel, and that fills my heart with joy. I'm proud to say we have delivered over 5,554 meals since March the 20th. This pandemic has brought a challenging time to our community, and I praise the dedicated volunteers who have proven that even during time of distress, the town continues to grow beautifully.
My name is Hector Abad, and I have been a lifelong resident and volunteer. We strive to be a friendly, inclusive, and open model for our community. There's one issue we're tackling head-on: mental health. According to the Florida Department of Health, almost 20 suicides occur in our zip codes each year. As a social worker for a local middle and high school, I have witnessed the mental health struggle of our youth. In 2019, college student and town resident Emily Wong hosted the Out of the Darkness Mental Health Awareness Walk in honor of her friend, Victor Ruiz, who has struggled with mental health illnesses and committed suicide. Mental health affects people of all ages, and COVID-19 brought an urgency to break the stigma and to address this issue and encourage open dialogue. Last June, The Mental Health Advisory Task Force was created to approach this epidemic by encouraging the community to be open, kind, and to seek resources. The board's goal is to build emotional resilience in the community and achieve mental and physical health to individuals to reach their full potential.
Hola, mi nombre es Elsa Reus. I am an advocate to create stronger, diverse community and civic leadership. Miami Lakes is a diverse community with 86% of Hispanics. Last summer, I proposed the Miami Lakes Unity Virtual Prayer, which was held on July 30th, 2020. We invited 10 religious leaders from our community to bring unity during such a controversial time in our nation. Their prayers reflected on a powerful message that regardless of race, national origin, age, socioeconomic status, we all want to be treated equally and fairly. The virtual unity prayer was aired live and viewed for more than 2,000 households. To our surprise, we even had residents of Dutch City, Kansas, wanting to replicate this event in their community. This is proof that our town of Miami Lakes is not only unique, but truly blessed. Thank you. Muchísimas gracias.
Hi, my name is Vivian Levy, Chair of the Special Needs Advisory Board and mother to an autistic young man. The board creates a model for inclusion by advising the town of unmet needs for the special needs community. When the pandemic struck, it became evident that our special needs community were being negatively impacted. So the town launched the Special Needs Registry. The information provided by the registry will be utilized by law enforcement during times of emergency or during an interaction with a police officer. The goal of the registry is to ensure all Miami Lakes residents who have special needs can get the help and support they need during times of distress.
My name is Officer Robin Amador. It is my honor to be the lead officer of the Special Needs Program. I did not know how deep and impactful this initiative was going to be till I met with the first registrant. A few days ago, I had the pleasure of meeting an 11-year-old girl with Down syndrome. Unfortunately, in most cases, when police are called to a scene, special needs person may not understand that the officer there is there to keep the peace. When I met with the little girl and her mother, the first thing I saw was a big smile on her face. Her face lit up with so much joy that at that moment I knew that her everlasting memory of the uniform will always be a positive one. I am confident this program will make a difference by providing a safe place for people with special needs while raising a community awareness to provide an inclusive and civic model to be followed by others. The town of Miami Lakes, growing beautifully together.
Thank you so much, Miami Lakes, for that presentation and for kicking us off on day 3 of our AAC Awards. Let's see what questions we have for you from the jury. Let's start off with Cece and then get Mayor Daley.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon. It has been a pleasure to hear your presentation today and learn so much about Miami Lakes, Florida. My question today, it looks like you have done an exceptional job of being able to pivot and respond to the pandemic over the last year, implementing some new programs, the Elderly Affairs Committee, and being able to really respond to all of the needs of the community through many of the programs. My question for you is, what have you learned, in providing some of these direct resources, and what do you think is going to stick ongoing as we come out of the worst of this pandemic?
Well, that's a great question. I know the perfect person to answer that is Dottie Wicks, the chair of our Elderly Affairs Committee.
Well, one thing I learned through it is that we were not getting all of our seniors involved. We only had those that would come and answer our messages and all. We had a group that were homebound, and that was probably right now we're serving 61 of them that they're getting food They get phone calls. They know they can call different numbers. We have the signs given to them that if they need anything, all they have to do is call us and we'll be there for them. And that has been a big help to us and something we can use even going forward.
Great, thank you, Dottie.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Let's actually get Adriana next, and then we'll get Mayor Daley.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for such a great presentation. It was nice seeing how your community showed their resilience throughout this pandemic. My question was related to CCs, and I'll piggyback on that because I know that in my city, we struggled reaching seniors, especially like you said, those seniors that weren't connected to city services before, were kind of isolated, whether they were homebound or just not really part of civic life in the city. So I wanted to hear more about your efforts to reach them.
Yeah, we have two great participants. We have Dottie Wicks and Dennis Brennis with a local nonprofit that I think could take a deep dive into that.
Okay, the thing that we found most valuable is, and then with the COVID, we started what we called a roving, traveling bingo. The seniors love bingo. So we partnered with the town's restaurants, and we were delivering lunches. Some would pick up, some would, we would deliver. What we did then is we had a bingo card in each lunch. They looked forward to the card to see if they're a winner. On the card, it would say, sorry. The other card would say, if you won, it would say winner, and then they would get a gift certificate from the restaurant that we were using. And that really helped us get things moving, and we've just grown from that. We started with like 80, and now we're up to 155.
Wow, that's great. Traveling bingo, I love it.
Thank you, Dottie. And just to piggyback, if I understood the question, how we interacted with seniors during the height of the pandemic, we work, my organization, which is Giving Gators, we worked closely with the town as well as the Elderly's Affairs Committee. They have a data bank of senior citizens within the town, and we would contact them on a weekly basis just to make sure that they were at home, and whoever needed groceries and whoever needed, just supplies for the week, we would jot them down in a list, and we would make sure that every senior who needed supplies or groceries would get a big bag of food every single week. And we did that for a total of 14 weeks. I'm very proud of everything that we did with the town and with the Elderly's Affairs Committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Let's get Mayor Daley and then Mayor Shelton.
Miami Lakes, how are y'all doing this morning? Great job. As the mayor of Tallahassee, your neighbor to the north, I'm familiar with your community, and it's a great community. Y'all did a wonderful job this morning. I love the presentation on all the different aspects. I got to tell you, though, Mr. Mayor, something that really jumped out at me that I think is extremely impressive, a town that's 20 years old with a population a little over 31,000. But I noticed how strong your civic capital is, especially in your written presentation. And I'm curious to know, tell me the story. What is so special that makes people want to get involved? I mean, I look at your numbers, and last year alone, you hosted 227 public events. That's nearly 4 a week, every week during tumultuous times. And that's very impressive. Why do people want to get involved with Miami Lakes?
Great question, Mayor. And this is an incredibly special community. And I know Claricel, who's our communications director and runs our special events, can take a deeper dive into it, but we had a decision to make. Either budget to run all these events, all these services, to pay maybe the opportunity cost is in the millions of dollars that we would pay a professional firm to do these things, or empower our residents. And that's a decision that we've made. And every single person that participates, our city council doesn't dictate anything. It's the other way around. We empower them with funds, with budgets. We literally don't get involved. And the sense of community that has created throughout the years is truly remarkable. And we have folks, I mean, we have a list today of 50 people that have applied that are waiting to join the committee. So we don't even have to recruit folks. The amount of folks that want to be part of this, just because of all the folks that are here today that want to be part of the Miami Lakes team, is something incredibly special. And we're so blessed with that. And I wanted Clarissa to jump into it, because our department that runs these events, it's literally about 3 to 4 people. And if it wasn't for the human capital, for the volunteers, we would not be able to afford to do 170 events in different community opportunities. But yeah, Clara, so I would love for you to take a deeper dive into that.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mayor from Tallahassee, for the question. I take pride, and I don't say it often, but I have the biggest staff in Town Hall. And it's staff of loving volunteers who give so many hours back to this community, that take pride in everything that they do. And I'm so proud of that, because I have champions in all of these different sectors of our community, whether it's the youth or people that are passionate about culture, or Dottie's group, the Elderly Affairs Committee, that they just care about this town, care about their neighbors, and care about making a difference in others' lives. So I'm very proud to be part of this team. And just a little tidbit, I actually, before I started my career here almost 10 years ago, I belonged to one of these committees. I was part of the Cultural Affairs Committee, and I loved being part of that so much that, you know, I always envisioned being part of a paid staff. And here I am almost 10 years later, with all of these fine folks behind me that give so much back to the community.
Thank you so much. Let's get a question from Mayor Shelton.
Thank you so much. And first of all, great job. Like Mayor Daley, I'm extremely impressed by the civic engagement, the number of committees, the number of events. That's just, that's outstanding. And I thought it was very cool touch, something that no other city can do, is have the granddaughter of the founder of the city do the introduction to the presentation. So I thought that was a nice touch. You kind of touched on it a little bit in the presentation on community-oriented policing. I kind of wanted to ask, kind of expand on that. And then specifically with being a diverse and bilingual community, how do you address those type issues through community-oriented policing?
Yeah, we have one of our community officers, Robin Amador, here, who can talk to you about both of those. And I know Elsa can jump into the bilingual portion as well. So if you want to touch upon that.
Good morning, judges, and thank you so much for having me here. It's truly a great event. I just want to say the whole pandemic touched everybody so negatively that the police was the first one that said, well, you know, we're going to have to be frontline. And the town of Miami Lakes took the initiative from the beginning to say, we're going to add more patrol, we're going to add more officers, we're going to add more times, we're going to add all the things that the town could provide for the citizens for their safety during that time. I think that in the end, the citizens really were the ones that have to be given the prize, because they were the ones that were so just well behaved, if we want to put it in that sense. The community said, look, you know, this is something that we all have to work with, and we have to do what we have to do to continue being civil and civic, and that's what occurred. So I think the police did what we have to do, but I think the people were the ones that were the most advantageous and progress at this point.
Excellent, thank you. Well, we are actually at time. So Miami Lakes, thank you so much for sharing your story and for having this wonderful community of loving volunteers that are coming together to solve problems in your community. Thank you for being an All-America City finalist.
Thank you for having us. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you all tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll be here celebrating with our entire community. So we'll see you all then. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Lakes. Okay, we're now happy to usher in our next presentation for this block. We'll be joined by the City of Sumter, South Carolina momentarily. Welcome, City of Sumter.
Hey.
Thank you for that sound check. Do you all just this one entry point?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I have made you co-host. We can see you and hear you. So I'm going to hand you off to Angela.
Excellent. Good morning, Sumter, South Carolina. Are you ready to begin?
Yes. Hi, I'm Renee Robbins. Let me tell you about one of our volunteers, Cheryl. She had everything in life that she needed, but what she wanted was a deeper connection with people in all circumstances. So volunteering with my organization, the By Name Project, took her way out of her comfort zone, dealing with people that a lot of us try to ignore. Homeless, mentally ill, folks who are just down on their luck. But today she has learned the names of all the individuals we serve and their stories. And now she leads other volunteers to help shine a light in our community.
Thank you, Renee. And you know, Cheryl is she's not alone here. We have more than 200 volunteer-based organizations. Good morning, I am Erica Williams with Sumter Economic Development, and I am absolutely delighted to introduce you to our team to let you know our incredible story of resilience, compassion, and service right here in Sumter, South Carolina.
Hi, I'm Howie, and I work with the City of Sumter. I serve as one of the assistant city managers. COVID-19 has taken all of us out of our comfort zones for more than a year.
It did.
Now, as the 9th largest city in South Carolina, Sumter was one of the highest risk regions in the state for new infections last year. Now, but a year later, as a result of community-wide COVID care initiative, we have one of the lowest infection rates, dropping to 31st out of 46 communities. Now, this initiative included COVID care kits for 6,000 of our most vulnerable households.
That's right.
200,000 masks donated by members of our community. Backpacks with masks and sanitizer for our students. Commercial partners providing food for at-risk households and frontline healthcare workers. And free transportation to COVID testing and vaccine sites. Now, how did we do it?
How did we do it?
It was through the Compassionate City Committee.
That's right.
Which is an informal, ever-changing group of community members that collaborate to respond to various disasters. Dealing with floods and hurricanes, we've learned a few lessons over the years. And one of the most important lessons is to get out in front of the issue by including our community in the planning and response process. That's it.
That's it.
That's what the Compassionate City Committee is. It's a fluid group that brings various community members to the table to ensure our citizens' needs are met, regardless of the situation.
That's right.
Hi, I'm Keith.
Hey, Keith.
The Compassionate City Committee is the reason why my organization, Midland's Fatherhood Coalition, moved to Sumter. Working through the committee allows organizations like mine to connect directly with fathers and families who need our services. Better access to education, resources, careers, and more.
Much more.
Hi, I'm Matt. We work with anyone, regardless of their circumstances. At my organization, where I serve as construction director, we offer construction, shelter, food, clothing, utility assistance to those in need. The unique thing that I like is that if they don't meet our criteria, we have the connections to find them the resources. In fact, I brought a few of my volunteers with me here today. Let me tell you about Brittany real quick. As a young mother and wife, Brittany was involved in a terrible car accident that left her paralyzed. She could no longer do the things that most of us take for granted. Through our network, we were able to provide for her family a safer housing, which included a ramp, as well as connect her son to services at the Croswell Children's Home and help her husband find a better job partnering with the Midlands Fatherhood Coalition. As a family, they have built their resilience as they adjusted to their new way of life. One need that has become apparent over the years is housing safety. While our network assists citizens, they might learn about a leaky roof or a mobile home that doesn't qualify for government assistance. These needs have led to our Restore program. See, all too often we measure success by the numbers, how many ramps we built, how many homes we repaired, but the most important number is the number of lives we've transformed.
Hi, I'm Jerry. You know, kids are often some of the most vulnerable members in our community, and they feel the most helpless to change their situation. But for almost 90 years, the Croswell Home for Children has provided resources, a safety net, and most importantly, a stable and safe place for children in need. We find out about the needs in our community through community engagement. We work with various community partners, whether it be teachers, law enforcement officers, and other community providers. You know, and from there, we try to create solutions for each child, from working with families in parenting classes or counseling to giving kids who need it a place to grow up. You know, as a provider, we don't always get to see the fruits of our labor, but sometimes children come back to visit, they come back to volunteer, sometimes they even come back to work. And when they do that, that helps us to provide hope to a new generation of children. And that's really success that just can't be measured in numbers.
Good, Jerry.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Major James Sankler. The job of a police officer is to build relationships and make people feel safe. In Sumter, we're making policing proactive. For the last decade, we've shown another side to policing by actively participating in community-wide events and school reading programs, celebrating diverse holidays in the community, or visiting homebound seniors. Heck, our officers have even been known to join in a quick pickup game of basketball with our youth as they make their rounds through the neighborhood. Basically, our goal is to help our residents trust the uniform and not be afraid of it.
That's right.
We do this by actively training in sensitivity and diversity awareness. Following the death of George Floyd, our department engaged in conversations with our local historically Black college, Morris College, and a group of community faith leaders. What transpired was a community-wide walk for unity and a workshop for law enforcement agencies in the area to openly discuss strategic solutions for building trust in a diverse population for generations to come.
Generations to come. That's what it's about. Thank you, sir. You know, at the beginning of the 21st century, Sumter found herself with the problem. We were losing all of our manufacturers, and going away also was our people. But we decided to focus on our number one asset, our people. How did we bounce back? Through STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Add an A for arts.
And you get STEAM.
STEAM-powered education programming is the foundation for Sumter's first high-performance charter school. I'm Dr. Khalil Graham, and we set out on the Hopes and Dreams listening tour in Sumter, 115 community meetings, and what we found was a community that yearned for a full-time STEAM school. Through direct engagement and a host of generous financial partners, Sumter's Liberty STEAM Charter School was formed, not just for our community, but by our community. And is opening this fall with 192 kindergarten and first grade scholars with eventual full-scale growth to K-12 education.
That's right, that's right. And you know what? It is that same collaboration and community engagement that gave birth to our award-winning East STEAM Sumter Festival. Got my good friend Steamer right here. That's our festival mascot. You see, every year, this festival gives residents of all ages, all backgrounds, an opportunity to see, feel, touch, smell, dream about their future career opportunities while interacting directly with business and industry partners that make it happen daily. For example, participants get hands-on demonstrations with professionals about products used in a variety of international endeavors, like the Mars Perseverance rover. We are literally making products that are out of this world right here in Sumter, South Carolina. So now today, a variety of schools and businesses have adopted our STEAM curriculum in developing a talent pipeline that stands at the ready for technological advances. In the process, we are seeing an influx of large-scale manufacturers and other businesses that need these talents. In the last 9 years alone, we've added more than 4,000 STEAM-related careers to our local economy. Now that is community resilience. We've shared some great stories, but this next group coming up, they need to tell you in their own words. Take it away, kids.
Here at ADM, students are offered the opportunity to take STEM classes such as robotics, prosthetics, programming, and much more.
One of my favorite STEM projects that I did here at Alice Drive has been SSCP. A few of my classmates and I formed a team, and our experiment went to the International Space Station.
Before STEM programming, school was not that fun. But now that we have STEM programming, we do lots more hands-on activities.
These hands-on activities are programming robots, STEM activities, 3D printing, and much more to enjoy.
STEM programming has helped me work as a team and improve my team working ability.
STEM programming has also given me and other students many opportunities that will help to open doors to scholarships and other college courses.
So one of the reasons that STEM programming is helpful when we move from school to the workplace is it's not just the programming itself, it's also a mindset that when you face problems or trials or tribulations, you can push through them and you can keep going till you find a solution or like a patch or something.
I agree. Well, like STEM is like something is it's like very hard to do in like the early life. Like you have to, it's different jobs out here that you have to do that's part of STEM. You like get it?
Yeah. And also by learning and exploring technology, STEM is creating educational opportunities for me and my classmates, and it's revealing employment right here in Sumter. This is going to be fun.
So you see, instead of dwelling on things that drive us apart, we're focusing on things that bring us all together. In everything we do, we strive to provide an environment of opportunity and inclusion for all. This is what makes us an equitable, resilient, and compassionate community. We are Sumter, South Carolina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sumter. I remember the high energy and the call and response from your last presentation as an All-America City finalist. So thanks for bringing it again. All right. Let's see what questions we have from the jury. Let's start with Maya, and then I'll put myself in the queue.
Well, congratulations, Sumter. What a fantastic presentation. So dynamic and engaging, fantastic transitions. I am so impressed also with your STEAM program. I love the inclusion of the A in the arts. I'm a huge proponent of that. So I'm also impressed with the fact that in that Liberty STEM STEAM charter school, you were able to get that 60% targeted initial enrollment made up of students below that poverty line. My question to you is, based on the lottery system, what are you going to do to make sure that the students who weren't selected don't fall through the cracks?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. We are excited about that. And here is Dr. Graham will be happy to share more information with you.
Good morning. One of the things that we really commit to is we want to be a community partner in all aspects. So with our programming, we make sure we have an open door policy with all of our local community education partners to make sure that they understand what are the things that we're working for with best practices. And we also want to learn best practices from them as well. So we have that open door policy, but we also do a lot of community engagement with families. This year, we've had monthly community engagement events where we're opening our doors, giving different lesson plans and opportunities for parents to learn things from us, but also taking back what our parents and families are needing so that they can feel really engaged with the type of school and education opportunities we're trying to build.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Grant.
Thank you. And my question is actually a follow-up to that one a bit about the STEAM initiatives, which is how you talked about adding jobs. I think 4,000 STEAM-related careers were added. Can you tell whether having more STEAM initiatives is leading to more workers, essentially more young people kind of graduating, getting degrees and going into those careers? How are you measuring that?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the East End Festival was born out of an initiative because we started out with like manufacturing expos and things of that nature to get our students involved. All of our manufacturers, as a part of our recruitment efforts with being in economic development, they're interested in not just infrastructure and buildings, but of course talent. So that is a major part of what we're doing. Our local technical college as well offers free tuition to students who have at least a 2.0. And each time with all of those different jobs, be they mechatronics, CNC, and the list goes on. After those students graduate, they are immediately finding jobs. And so we use these success stories to build our recruitment and our industrial portfolio. So we are seeing an increased number of students on the high school level with our career centers. Lots of our schools, not only with Liberty STEAM Charter, but lots of our schools are actually seeking national STEM certification. So we're making sure that we are constantly pouring back into our students to make sure that we're getting to our ultimate goal. Manufacturing is our number one sector as far as our largest employment sector in Sumter. So we are constantly pumping back into make sure that we are staying strong and resilient.
Excellent, thank you. All right, let's get a question next from Lexi and then Terry and Cece.
Okay.
Hello, Sumter. Thank you so much for that energetic and wonderful presentation. I really enjoyed reading your application and then seeing how you all as a community make the projects come to life. It's really wonderful to see. I did have a question about the Project Checkmate project that you wrote in your application. I was wondering if you wanted to share any more successes that you had about that program specifically.
Okay, thank you for that question. We have our Chief of Police, Russell Rourke, here, as well as Sergeant Major Sankler that you met during the presentation, and they can share more.
Well, good morning. So 5 years ago, we began looking at a program we had called I'm All Right, where our telecommunications operators would call a list of seniors every day that traditionally lived alone. Because of the military in Sumter County, from Shaw Air Force Base being here from 1941, we have a lot of people that retire from the military, go to industry, retire, and lose connection to the community as they age. So we begin to look at 16% of our total population density in Sumter was 65 years old or older. We felt like that was an untapped resource that had not been paid close attention to. So as we move forward, we began working with service organizations to actually engage the senior in their home, to help them with normal situations we take for granted, such as moving the garbage to the side of the roadway on the days that this pickup, to even taking them to the doctor, picking up prescriptions, helping them with small household chores. And it's also that interpersonal connection that someone may not always have someone to speak with, but just that human factor of connecting a police officer with a senior. Again, it's 16% of our service population within our community. We felt it was an untapped resource, and it's paid great dividends. We've built relationships, not only with the seniors, but their families and their extended families outside of our jurisdiction.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's get Terry next and then Cece.
Great, thank you, and thank you, Sumter. I feel like you guys just keep getting better and building on all of your successes over the years. You've been before us for the last couple of years and have been successful. So my question really goes to a little bit about what's on the horizon. What's the city looking to do moving forward, and what's that secret sauce that you guys have?
Okay, I'd love to introduce you to our city manager, Darren McCormick, and he can tell you about our plans.
Hey, thanks for that question. You know, honestly, it is exciting. I was telling someone the other day, haven't been at the city for 26 years. I'm more excited about being here now than ever. And it's because of our team, not only the city team, but the whole community working together. So really the game plan is to pay attention to the needs, seeing where we need to dive in a little deeper and how we can work together. There's a concept of Team Sumter here that says where there's a need, where there's maybe a group or an individual that's being missed, how can we best reach out to those groups? So we see that through our nonprofits, we see that through our schools, definitely through the talent pool. We've got some awesome young people here. So really it's just kind of paying attention to our community and saying, how can we get better? Our mayor just said, you know, we want to do things with excellence. So where the needs are with a can-do attitude, let whoever needs to step up front to kind of lead that charge, and everyone else just pull in as a team and address those needs.
Fantastic, thank you. And let's get Cece.
Sure, thank you, Angela. And hello, City of Sumter. I could see in your application and in your passion in your presentation today that community engagement is a high priority for you. And when I was reading through your application, I saw that, you know, in the height of last year of the racial uprisings and a murder of George Floyd, you held a series of community conversations that were supported through many community partners. I'm wondering, you know, what actions have kind of come out of some of those conversations, and where are you hoping that that those conversations will lead?
That's a very great question. And here to answer that is Mandy Easton. She is one of our local faith leaders, and she will gladly tell you more.
Good morning. My name is Mandy Easton, and I lead Something Together initiative. Back after George Floyd incident happened, 79 pastors around our community gathered to pray, and we decided that we needed to have a peaceful march. And so 79 faith groups came together, and we locked arms with the police, and we marched down the streets of Sumter, and we came together. 1,000 people showed up. It was a great day where we actually locked arms and joined community together. We have since realized that people really, really like to be a part of something when it's a crisis, but then whenever the crisis dies down, they tend to move away from it. So we have kept the charge going. We have created Sumter Together. We are having community events in the next few weeks where we are building and working with Sumter United Ministries. We are having fun days for families where we really create unity, because we really do believe that what keeps us together is greater than what divides us.
Hey, I'm Russell Rogue, the police chief again. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. One of the things that we began to work on some 10 years ago was improving the quality of life of our citizens that we serve. But we also believe that creating goodwill. When you have a tragic situation such as the situation that happened with George Floyd, you have to have respect and trust in your community. And you cannot glean that trust the evening after an event occurs. We worked very hard for 10 years of improving the quality of life, but more importantly, creating goodwill. We believe that's social capital. We were honored to walk hand in hand with our pastors and our citizens across Sumter, not only the city, but the county, to show that we as a community will work together to continue to improve the quality of life, to provide a quality service, and treat people fairly and equitably across our community.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sumter, so much. Team Sumter, thank you so much for your stories, for your energy, and for just focusing on what brings us together in this time and all time. So keep it up, keep up that energy, keep up that those stories, and keep bringing people together as an All-America City finalist.
Thank you. We are Sumter, South Carolina.
Thank you so much, Sumter. Hope to see you all tonight and continue watching the remainder of the presentations on our main stage. We're now going to welcome in our next finalist, Fort Wayne.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome, Fort Wayne. Can you see and hear us okay?
We can hear you just fine. Thank you.
Great. And you all sound good. We are seeing your screen. Let me just make you a co-host real quick. Right. I am now going to hand you off to Angela.
Excellent. Fort Wayne, Indiana, are you ready to begin?
We are ready, Angela. Thank you.
Yeah, then you may begin.
Hello, I'm Mayor Tom Henry. Welcome to Fort Wayne's All-America City presentation. Today we have a panel of community members and leaders who will showcase some of our exciting programs that promote civic engagement. making Fort Wayne a city that is moving forward together. Megan Butler will discuss Riverfront Fort Wayne, a multi-phase community and economic development project that activates public space to engage all of our citizens. Ira Kedley will show how Fort Wayne United ensures that equity and diversity are embraced across our community. And Shanita Bolton will highlight the Family and Community Engagement Center, which is part of Indiana's largest public school system, which is Fort Wayne Community Schools. Today's panel will be moderated by local business owner and community leader, Stephen J. Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor Henry. We have so many incredible things happening in Fort Wayne that it's hard to highlight only three. Megan, let's start with you. What makes Riverfront Fort Wayne in its first phase of activity in Promenade Park more than just a new green space?
Riverfront Fort Wayne was founded on 3 rivers, but for much of our history, we turned our backs on them. Then a tide turned as we realized the value of our rivers again. We began soliciting feedback and created the Envision Center in a downtown Fort Wayne storefront, where members of the public met with consultants to figure out how to make our community dreams a reality. Our mission, vision, brand, programming, and public space design, including features to make the park accessible for people of all abilities, stem directly from citizen input. Promenade Park opened in August 2019 with a 3-day grand opening where over 100 groups celebrated arts, culture, recreation, and nature. More than 35,000 people attended. This was more than just a party for the city's history books. It was the beginning of a movement to deliver on our promise of being a space that is truly for every person in our community. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, we have early data showing that not only is the park enjoyed and loved, it is changing the way people see themselves, their government, and their larger community.
Thank you, Megan. And now we're going to take a question from the audience.
I love Promenade Park so much that I chose it for one of my buddy benches. Megan, what excites you about Riverfront Fort Wayne?
First, this young lady is Sammy Vance. She uses melted down donated plastic bottle caps to create buddy benches where kids and adults can sit and make a new friend. As for your question, I come from a disadvantaged background and even experienced homelessness growing up. I didn't have a place like this as a kid. As a child, I learned there were people who made decisions and people who had decisions made for them. And we were the latter. I learned how certain experiences help people connect and build social capital, which changes lives. As a single mom, my sons often tag along to my work at Riverfront and witness how this transformation happens.
Tell us a bit about some of the people you've met through Riverfront Fort Wayne.
Riverfront Fort Wayne and Promenade Park have already made a huge impact on so many people. Let's hear from one of our local small business owners who has been able to reach more people with his delicious food.
My name is Victor Espinosa. I immigrated from Mexico City, and my wife, Omaira Oliveras, is from Puerto Rico. When Promenade Park opened it, we started selling ice cream bar from a small car, and now we own La Michoacana Mobile, and we enjoy sharing our food and culture with all the Fort Wayne community.
Promenade Park is a clear example of the city moving forward together. A place for people to gather, a place where people of all backgrounds prosper. Another community-wide transformation has come from Fort Wayne United, which was created to enhance opportunities for Black men and boys. Irick, please tell us how these efforts have impacted Fort Wayne.
So one of our initiatives, our 10-point coalition, is a boots on the ground approach that empowers people who in some cases were a part of the problem, but now are a significant part of the solution. They learn about community needs, they build relationships, and they connect people to life-changing resources. Within the first 14 months, crime in this neighborhood was reduced by over 70%. The city also hired minority contractors to complete over $200,000 worth of home repair enhancements in the neighborhood. And by collaborating with a local construction company, over 40 individuals, including our 10-point coalition members, were offered jobs with a livable wage. We also have a lot of programs that focus on youth like Quayon, who is here today, who was a part of our Friday Tie Day program, which matches students with a community leader who meets with them to build trusting relationship through one-on-one conversations, job shadowing, and fun activities.
Hi, I'm Quayon. Growing up in a family of 7, I had a single mom raising us all. And without a father figure, I never learned how to tie a tie before Fort Wayne United's Friday Tie Day program. I was partnered with my mentor, Chuck Surek, a big name business owner of a worldwide company. How many young Black kids from the inner city have had an opportunity like this?
Opportunity is key. One opportunity Fort Wayne United has provided is making the community comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations. I saw a powerful video called Could Have Been Me, where you shared your personal journey, Eric. Can you tell us more about that story?
Absolutely. When I was 10, I moved from Trinidad and Tobago to Fort Wayne. And within 2 years of being in America, I had witnessed people being shot and even 2 people dying in front of my eyes. This truly impacted my psyche as I sensed that the Black male in my new country had a different life and journey ahead of him. Our video was rooted in the truth of our reality that regardless of our success or our influence, homicide could have and still can impact any one of us.
That video really opened a lot of eyes here in Fort Wayne.
And I'm glad it did. Over the last few years, our community has been moving towards an understanding that we do have a shared humanity. Our latest initiative called United Front provides a learning experience for our entire community.
In fact, we have Brenda Gerber-Vincent from Greater Fort Wayne, our local Chamber of Commerce, in the audience today. Brenda, can you share a bit about how the business community has embraced this initiative?
Businesses and their employees care about racial diversity and inclusion. In Fort Wayne, we have United Front, where 185 organizations and more than 8,000 business leaders are having meaningful conversations in a safe environment. We are learning a common language and a philosophy that will change the course of our community for generations to come.
Fort Wayne United doesn't just make good business sense, it also moves us forward towards a more inclusive community and a brighter future for children in our area. Shanita, our children's future is front and center in all that Fort Wayne Community Schools does. How is the Family and Community Engagement Center a part of that?
We call ourselves FACE, and I think it's important to note that FACE was intentionally and strategically placed on a city bus route in the downtown area to make sure we be accessible for our students, their families, and the entire community. I think it's best to hear about the support FACE provides firsthand from one of our families.
The FACE Center has given my family a wealth of information. My oldest, Jakayla, has participated in cheer clinics with Miss Shanita Bolton. She has done the Student Advisory Board Committee with the superintendent. She has gotten her work permit from here, as well as do the college and career readiness program. My son, Jakai, a freshman going into his sophomore year, has participated in the athletic leadership program and the college and career readiness program since he was in 7th grade. I'm involved with the Parent Trailblazer program, where I connect other parents through social media and personal phone calls, or even talking sometimes face-to-face with resources that I've received at the FACE Center or some things that may be great for them. Without the FACE Center, my family would not have been as involved with the community or Fort Wayne Community Schools.
As you can tell, FACE is not a deficit model that just helps students who are low income or academically struggling. Beyond assisting over 900 students and families each year who are considered McKinney-Vento, we support everyone through programming for students, trainings for parents, and professional learning for staff. We have seen more students stay in school because they've received immunizations at FACE, more students participating in leadership seminars and college visits, and we've been recognized by the state of Indiana for significantly increasing FAFSA completion and 21st Century Scholar Success Program requirements.
It sounds like FACE has made quite the impact in the last 5 years.
When FACE first opened, there was a family that had just arrived in Fort Wayne and did not know where to get help. Knowing they had children, someone told them to go to the FACE Center. They walked through our doors with no place to stay, no food, and only what they could carry in their car. When they left, FACE had assisted them in registering for school, obtaining clothes, shoes, shelter, immunizations, and school supplies. We're able to meet families where they are because of our incredible community partnerships, including the City of Fort Wayne and Fort Wayne United, as we look for resources to better support our students and families.
Incredible work. Thank you, Shanita. And many thanks to all of our panelists today who do so much to make Fort Wayne an all-America city that's moving forward together.
Thank you so much, Fort Wayne. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. I was just wondering, there was like a little bit of a delay in your presentation, but we got it all. We got it all, and we can hear each other. So let's see what questions the jury members have for you. Let's start with Maya, and then I'll put myself in the queue.
Fantastic job, Fort Wayne. I very much appreciate your presentation and your written application. Also very impressed with the numbers that your group, your coalition, and in terms of how you comprise the members of faith leaders and former gang members. So my question to you all is, what does that recruitment look like? How did you get folks from various walks of life in this cycle of violence? How did you get them to come together and just do this mission of that 10-point coalition's work?
That's a great question. You know, we have, because our 10-point coalition was launched from the mayor's office, we have a good platform that we can market and promote these opportunities from. And so we put that out to the community through our youth centers, through our barbershops, through our churches. And I remember the first meeting that we had when we were really recruiting the right folks for this mission. We had about 50 people in the room with standing room only, because we thought we would have maybe about 10 to 20 based on what we were told by some other individuals from different cities. So we really opened it up for everybody. And it's not just individuals who were a part of the problem, but it's individuals who really want to be a part of the solution, residents, just human beings who want to give back to their community. So we opened it up to everybody, black, white, women and men, everybody in between, and just made sure that they had the opportunity to engage with the 10-point coalition on the ground. The good news is that it was it's supposed to be sort of a volunteer type of program, but we were able to raise enough funds. So it's actually kind of an employment opportunity too, where we provide employment as a second job to our men and women who walk the streets every night.
Thank you so much. May I have just a quick follow-up to that?
Absolutely.
I'm just also curious then, you know, with all that work, then I've heard of other communities who have something like this, some sort of coalition that is very representative, but they haven't achieved the same numbers that you have. So what do you think is that secret? What is that strategy, or that, you know, what is the way that you guys have been able to get these improvements?
You know, it's partnerships, right? So it's partnerships with the police department. In many other cities, the police are actually the enemy of these types of operations. But in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the police become our partners, and also the community becomes our partner. So we're not putting our men and women inside of the community and saying, hey, you fix everything. But instead, we actually empower the community to be their own rescuers. And we actually empower the community to be a part of that solution. So the community actually moves this work forward by letting us know, hey, this is going on this corner, this is going on that corner. And we're able to move in and be strategic about the things that we do in partnership with not only the police department, but with the school systems, with the hospital systems in our area, with the counseling agencies in our area. So it's really about partnerships. The last thing I'll tell you about that question is, people do get tired of the violence in their communities. And once you let them know that they can speak up, and they do have a trusted relationship with our men and women of the 10-point coalition, they feel a lot more bringing information forward, where we can turn that over to the right authorities to move in and get something done about the violence even before it starts.
Great, thank you. And I just want to say, I also am really impressed with the Fort Wayne United, especially the fact that other cities are calling on you for advice and counsel and how to replicate your work. So amazing impact that you're seeing. I have a question actually about the FACE, the Family and Community Engagement work, which is, how are youth and parents and potentially other residents involved other than receiving services? So how are they able to shape and design some of the programming, or how does their input actually impact what services are provided?
Thank you for that question. One of the things we do through a variety of our programming is we do surveys with our students and our families, because it's not just about us creating and developing programs and services that we assume they need, but we want to make sure that we are providing actually what they need. We also, just as you heard from one of our parents, Janika, we place them at the table so that they have a voice for that creativity and also that engagement. Throughout our schools also, we have set up where we have what we call FAFSA student ambassadors and other student ambassadors that are part of that planning and implementation phase, getting feedback from their peers, because that's very important to us. But beyond that, we also, just like with Fort Wayne United, we have close working relationships with our youth serving organizations. So we go into those organizations and also not only working with students through the programming that we serve, but also getting their feedback in that manner as well.
Thank you so much. Great answer. Let's get Mayor Shelton and then Terry.
Thank you so much. Like the other panelists, I was very impressed with your submission, and I loved what the gentleman said of getting comfortable with uncomfortable conversations, and that's reflected in your packet as well, and you're to be commended on that. Kind of want to follow up on the Fort Wayne United 10-point. I think that kind of is getting everyone's attention. Possibly a question for the mayor, but really for anyone. How do you get community and quite frankly, political support for that program?
Thank you for that question, because community involvement, political involvement from our city council and others is terribly important to make sure that this particular initiative does stand the test of time, that it is sustainable. You know, many programs start up, people are very excited, but eventually they kind of fade away. We were bound and determined to make sure that this particular program was one that we could pass on to the next generation. We first put this together as a part of an initiative that was actually put together by the National League of Cities and also President Obama's program, My Brother's Keeper. We decided to put those two programs together in Fort Wayne, which was a rather unique approach. But by putting those together, we involved more and more of our community. And one of the things that IRIC didn't bring up was how so many people in our community at the professional level embraced this particular program. And he's got a board of directors that include judges and teachers, a number of businessmen and a number of others in the community that came forward by themselves simply saying, this is something that our community needs. This is something that's definitely worthwhile. And they really embraced this to the point that it really excited the entire community.
That's well said. If I can piggyback off of what Mayor Henry said and really expound on our steering committee, it's really an answer to a question. The question was starting off, hey, where do African-American males, where are they not thriving? Where are they not reaching their full potential? So of course it's in education. Incarceration is one of those issues. And of course, homicide and health. So we ended up really going after the highest layer of each one of those systems. So in the criminal justice system, we have our judges from juvenile, adult court, and even in the family court system. We have education. Fort Wayne Community Schools are one of our greatest partners, is sitting right next to me through Shanita Bolton with our Fort Wayne Community School System. And across the board in health and so many other areas, clergy and faith, we have pastors at the table. And what's amazing is that in Fort Wayne, Indiana, we don't talk diversity and inclusion. We actually do it. We start it, we live it. And so at our table of Fort Wayne United, we have Republicans, Democrats, Black, whites, women and men who simply believe in the mission. And we end up putting our differences aside and really focusing on the mission ahead, which is to really include individuals who've been disenfranchised, but also enhance their quality of life as they move forward.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's get a final quick question from Terry.
Sure. Thank you so much. And congratulations, Fort Wayne, for the amazing work. I think that this really sort of signals how you have used and infused both your physical capital, your social capital, and your human capital to the benefit of your community. And I think my question really goes to how you continue to sustain the effort. What does funding look like? Who are you going to continue to reach out to invest in this work? Because I think you're on the right track and continuing this work is going to be critical to how your community continues to respond.
Well, one of the ways that we've identified as an intricate part of the program is to make sure that we're involved at both the private and the public sector. Privately, we've had a number of individuals step up from a philanthropic perspective and want to continue to contribute to Fort Wayne United and to the development of Promenade Park, which Megan talked about, and a number of other initiatives. The outpouring of support in our community, financially and otherwise, has been just unbelievable. But also, we wanted to make sure that people knew the public sector was just as involved. So IRIC and several others and all part of our payroll, and we continue to support IRIC and his staff and the other types of initiatives that they put together from time to time from a public perspective. So it really takes a village, and we're trying to present this initiative as a program that all of Fort Wayne needs to be involved in.
Again, if I could piggyback one more time, we have a very amazing partner here with us today, and I'd like for her to expound on how we were able to really build that framework to raise the funds for United Front. Her name is Brenda Gerber Vincent. She is from Greater Fort Wayne, which is essentially our chamber. But with our United Front initiative, we had to put together a totally different team to raise the funds to build United Front from the ground up. And our Greater Fort Wayne partners just came to the table, and Brenda is our representative there. So Brenda, if you don't mind, talk about United Front, the funds that we were raising, how the business community has jumped on, and maybe why.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. As the organization that represents the over 9,000 businesses in our community, we knew that making inclusion and diversity was not only a priority, but it was the right thing to do. And the more you dive into long-term statistical, data-driven, long-term research, all reports have shown that diversity is also good for business. So when we look at the 9,000 businesses in our community, when we started talking to community leaders about really making this a reality, it was something that we knew that we wanted to raise money, and it was easy because they believed in what we were doing.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, we can't actually hear you. All right, well, we are out of time. So Fort Wayne, thank you so much for your whole village coming together to not just do the talking, but actually the doing of equity and resiliency. So keep on keeping on, and thank you so much for being an All-America City finalist.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fort Wayne. Encourage you to keep watching our remaining presentations on the main stage, Facebook or YouTube. Hope to see you tonight during the award ceremony. We are now going to let the final finalist of this block into the room. Englewood, Colorado will be joining us shortly. Welcome, Englewood.
Hey, Rebecca, can you hear us?
I can. Graham, should I make you the co-host or the BBE2?
The one that Tim is on. That's the host.
How do I get?
Tim.
Which one's Tim?
Can she see you?
Yeah, I think so.
Rebecca?
Hi, yes.
Hey, yeah, so make this feed the host, okay?
Wonderful. All right, you've been made co-host, and we can see you. And can you hear us?
Go back. Yep.
All right. Wonderful. I'm going to hand you off to Angela, and she'll get us started.
All right, Englewood, Colorado, are you ready to begin?
1 second.
Okay. That's why I ask.
Graham, where are the video settings?
It's right at Zoom settings, right.
Good morning, class. I am your new teacher, Mr. Martinez, and I'm excited to see what you guys learned last year about my favorite subject, the city of Englewood. It is an absolutely amazing city that has worked incredibly well with its residents to solve their problems together. So first up, let's talk about our first project, inclusive police reform in Englewood. Now, last year, the death of George Floyd shocked us all, but this gave Englewood the chance to review some of these policies and procedures so that they could really look into ways to improve their policing. So who can tell me about the 6 steps of Englewood's reform work and some of their innovative programs? Amaya, I actually understand that you're familiar with some of these programs.
I sure am. I learned at a city council meeting about the restorative justice program, and it focuses on rehabilitation of offenders through reconciliation with victims and the community. We also have the co-responders program which works with the nonprofit All Health Network that offers immediate treatment to those suffering a mental health crisis.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Martinez. The city created a police task force and an impact team some years back, and this team really seeks out community partnerships to work on decreasing crime by partnering together and creating quality of life for all. And I'm so impressed with this team too. They work so compassionately with community members who are experiencing homelessness.
That is a great answer. Thank you so much. But I think it's also important that we should mention that even before George Floyd's death, the city council had actually authorized the purchase of body-worn cameras to increase things like safety, transparency, and accountability. And the use of those actually went into effect just a few weeks ago. Okay, so Mike, and actually I remember you connected the city with nonprofits during the same time. What can you tell us about this?
I did. I can tell you that the city looked at use of force policies, discipline, and alternate policing. City Council then enacted the 8 Can't Wait campaign that focuses on 8 key reforms. The policy review included a community engagement phase, a report of findings to the community, and recommended reforms.
Nicely done, Mike. Thank you so much. So that's 2 of our 5 steps. Who can tell me about the next steps in the process? Sergeant Jones.
So in the 3rd step, the city hosted an expert panel discussion on police reform with City Council. This also included a survey of the entire police department. On July 23rd or 22nd, for the 4th step, the city hosted a community-wide telephone and virtual town hall meeting where nearly 1,500 residents participated in that. This outreach also included a number of surveys as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'll go ahead and add that step 5 ensured that the findings from the first 4 steps were enacted. And then to assist, the council actually created a police reform task force that was comprised of council members, members of the police force, and members of the community. And from their work, there were almost 30 recommendations that came out of that process, which was awesome. So can anybody tell us then about the final step in the process? Mayor Pro Tem Sierra.
Yeah, so step 6 was implementing those 30 recommendations. It included the cooperation of all city departments, as well as a robust public outreach program.
Fantastic. Okay, so moving along, let's talk about our second project, emergency preparedness and stormwater resiliency following tragedy. Now, Michael, as the city's emergency management coordinator, can you tell us what happened on July 24th, 2018?
Oh, I can. It was a sad day for Englewood. Neighbors say it took only minutes for floodwaters to fill window wells and stairwells, and tragically, a young woman lost her life. The next day, the neighborhood was declared a local disaster area.
Thank you for sharing that, Michael. The storm did in fact show the city's shortcomings with emergency management and infrastructure, but following feedback from the citizens, community-wide meeting, the city really responded incredibly well. And I'd actually like to show you a short clip from that meeting. Let's go ahead and take a look.
This is something that has been, it's really been front of mind for me since it happened. This was July last year. I was elected November prior to that, so I was still a relatively new council person at that time. This will be the biggest issue I face throughout my term. We've got a couple years left coming up, and it's how do we solve this? That was an absolutely tragic day. There's one really heartbreaking story after another that came out of this flood.
It was truly an emotional but informative meeting for city staff, but the city really learned a lot from their community that day.
Mr. Martinez, can I just add that we learned the importance of this emergency management again several weeks ago when a water main in a neighboring city broke and flooded an Englewood neighborhood again. And luckily, this time nobody was hurt, and we were able to act much more efficiently because of all the lessons we learned.
Thank you, Michael. That is an incredibly great point. So then, class, the question remains, how has the city really engage with the community on some of these issues? Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Martinez, the city began some studies to determine what the problems were, the extent of them, and how to come about some community informed solutions together. And we engaged in several different ways with strategies of public meetings. We had lots of public meetings, surveys and direct mail pieces that were informing and engaging people to give us feedback, and then individual meetings with homeowners. A lot of us went out and had one-to-ones with people, and more than a dozen city meeting discussions on the topic of stormwater.
Absolutely. Very good, Mayor. And in late 2019, Englewood actually began a comprehensive master planning process that included a 15-year capital improvement plan to identify costs to upgrade and improve the system. And then the City Council adopted a 3-year strategic plan to invest in and maintain the infrastructure. And by the end of 2020, they had already completed 5 projects from that plan. So can anybody tell us then about what you learned about some of these projects? Michael.
Yeah, I know a good one. The city was able to remove 20 dump trucks worth of debris from the stormwater pipes that run beneath our streets.
It was incredible, actually. That's a great example. And then I don't know if you all know this, but there were actually 29 projects identified in that master plan that they needed to do in order to reduce the risk to the community. This included things like replacing some of the larger stormwater sewer pipes so they could more effectively move water. And with so many projects, it's absolutely critical that the community understands the costs and impacts. And that's why they went ahead and created the Flow It Forward public outreach campaign. Can anybody tell us what that campaign was about? Mayor Pro Tem Sierra.
Yeah, so Flow It Forward is Englewood's plan for upgrading sewer, water, and the stormwater infrastructure. The city is focused on upgrading essential services to keep residents safe and healthy. All in all, about 300 miles of pipe will be upgraded, many of which were built back in the 1950s.
Absolutely, thank you. City Manager Lewis, what can you tell us about implementing some of these changes as well?
Yeah, Englewood's rates were so low for stormwater that we weren't able to keep up with our aging infrastructure. So we started a months-long public information and education campaign to really educate our citizens on the importance of infrastructure. And then we heard from the community that we needed to think about our elderly and our low-income residents. So we created a customer assistance program to help them pay for their utility bills.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about our third project, economic vitality through COVID and beyond. Now, normally, Englewood enjoys a thriving local economy, but like most municipalities during COVID-19, things were just devastated. And by like mid-March, a lot of businesses actually began to close. So to act fast, the city really needed to think creatively and proactively so that they could support some of their businesses. What did you guys learn about the city's response during this time? George, you're actually a local business owner. What can you tell us about the city's response?
Mr. Martinez, I was really impressed with the city's small business support programs, many of which were created with input from local businesses just like mine. City Council immediately used $200,000 from the city budget to support 19 business recovery efforts. After CARES Act funding came in, Englewood residents and businesses received 450 grants totaling more than $1.3 million.
Absolutely. Very good, George. Thank you. Now, during this time, I also believe that the city created the Downtown Development Authority. As the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, David, can you tell us about that?
Sure. The city created the DDA to encourage economic growth and support the businesses in the local downtown area. The DDA, with its board, will work with the city, the Chamber of Commerce, and other local nonprofits to achieve a common goal.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important that you guys understand that the DDA actually, the city pushed forward with the creation of the DDA during this time, which was a really proactive move. It's definitely going to serve the city for many generations to come.
Didn't the city also create an innovative program to help with local businesses?
They absolutely did, DeVarrell. David, I'm sure you can tell us all about that right as soon as you take that gum out of your mouth, please.
Sorry, Mr. Martinez.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, it was the Office of Economic Development, the Communications Department, and the Chamber of Commerce that got a working group together to come up with some really creative solutions to help our businesses.
That's correct. Thank you, David. Now, Julie, you and Arapahoe Community College are actually a partner in the Career Education Opportunity for Displaced Workers program. Are there any other programs you can tell us about?
Sure. I remember from my notes the Time for Takeout program, which promoted curbside pickup and takeout for restaurants, a business video storytelling series to promote Englewood businesses, and the Staycation series, which highlighted 2 to 3 businesses each week via social media.
Absolutely, Julie. Thank you. And if you didn't know, it's actually really important to note that those video series reached a combined 200,000 people online. So they were absolutely effective. And as a special bonus today, I actually have a short clip to show you that stars our very own DeVarrell. So let's go ahead and take a look.
my wife and I, we want to thank the city of Englewood and the Toss Boxing family for sure of how they have loved on us through this crazy time that we've experiencing. And just remember the little guys, and we are forever grateful for the assistance that they have given us to to make it through this pandemic.
Well done, DeVero. We better see you at those summer theater tryouts. Okay. Oh, wow. So that looks like all the time we have for today's lesson on the wonderful work being accomplished by the city of Englewood. I hope you know what is the one thing you learned today?
Englewood is an all-America city.
Absolutely, guys. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much, Englewood, Colorado, 80120. Let's see what questions the jury has for you. And let's start with Josh and then get Adriana.
Well, thank you for a wonderful presentation. I really appreciate all the different layers of the programs you have going on in the jurisdiction. So I wanted to ask a little bit more about the utility assistance program for low-income residents. I wonder if you could walk us through sort of the impact it's had thus far, any results to date, and then also I know that your application walks through how some of the different steps of outreach. Are you doing anything in particular regarding reaching out to those perhaps where English is a second language or not a primary language, or other sort of more proactive outreach regarding that program?
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer that question. We're still in the midst of setting up the CAP program or Citizen Assistance Program, but we are partnering with our county, Arapahoe County, to offer those services. So we don't have any results yet, but we are planning to get the word out. We've just recently put out a press release, but then we are planning to do that in bilingual forms of communication and various methods through our Flow It Forward program.
All right, thank you. Let's get Adriana and then Mayor Daley.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for a great presentation. I think what we all saw during COVID was increased participation and involvement from our community, from residents as well as businesses who saw us as partners to getting through the pandemic. And my question was really, how do you plan to harness that increased participation from the business community in the future? Like to make sure they're connected, they're participating, and that we continue this relationship.
So we're really pleased with our connections that we've forged within the business community. Those connections would not have been possible without our interactions with our business economic partners, such as the Greater Englewood Chamber of Commerce, Arapahoe Community College, and many others. We have 12 economic partners with the city of Englewood. One of the things we learned early on was just how weak our data was on our business community in terms of being able to interact with the business community. Thanks to these partnerships, we were able to open up those lines of communication and be able to push out information more efficiently and readily to our business community, both directly as well as through social media, et cetera. The city also contacted businesses, city council members, as well as members of the Chamber of Commerce, directly called members of the business community. One of the big lessons learned as a result of this, and as part of our strategic plan, we're going to be following up with businesses going forward that have closed or are moving out of Englewood to kind of do an exit interview to find out how the city can better support our business community. Thank you for the question.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, let's get Mayor Daley and then Dante.
Well, congratulations, Englewood. That was an incredible presentation. Mr. Superintendent, I am so impressed. Everybody knew the answer to every question and raised their hand. Even David got busted with gum. That was pretty clever. Right? Hey, Mayor, I wanted to let you know, I know a little bit about your community, and I do love your community. Y'all are great people. One of the cool things that I think, and I'm asking you, Mayor, to expand upon it a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your police station is relatively new construction, correct?
It is, yes, and that was a citizen vote to build a new city department. It's actually a beautiful police department,
Mayor
and
Olson,
it's
here's my
very
question.
functional.
Yeah, here's my question, because I'm looking over your application and your presentation. Your commitment to restorative justice is very impressive. Your commitment to community policing and having community involvement in police reform is very impressive. Your civic engagement in the community is impressive. And I think when you take law enforcement and your civic engagement and you mix it together, it's actually physically represented by your very unique police station, the physical design of it. Will
It
you
is.
please tell just briefly a little bit about that story of how the community came together?
Oh, the building itself really is built in a way that invites people in, which is, it's not the norm from our historical past. There's a huge open area. There are community rooms that can be used, and people can actually use them. We can hold forums there. So it's a very open building, which is one visual reminder of what our views are about policing. It's a community partnership. The restorative justice program was something that is new as well. And when we hired our new city manager, my first meeting with him, as I said, Sean, what do you know about restorative justice? Because I really like to see something happen here. Fortunately, he had that experience in another city. And within a few months, we had all kinds of meetings set up with the police, with local schools, with people who've done this before in other communities, and began a process there. And so I'm really excited about this. We cannot keep doing our safety enforcement and policing the same way into the 21st century to actually address the issues that we have. So I think this is a key part of it. We're at the beginning stages. We've done some great foundational work. I think we're ready. We've already begun some processes, and of course we have to coordinate with the municipal courts for that and the district courts. So it requires a lot of collaboration, a lot of communication, and citizen engagement along the way for assessment as well, which is going to be really important.
Thank you.
All right, let's get a question next from Dante, and if we have time, we'll get Margaret.
Thank you. Great job, Englewood. Appreciate the presentation and the information. Mayor, you touched on part of my question related to restorative justice. The second part relates to your co-responder programs and your homeless response teams. If you could talk to me about the strategy that built that collaboration and that effort, and also who are some of the partners on the homeless response team, I'd appreciate it.
I can start to address that question. I wonder if there are other voices as well. Back in 2017, the police department partnered with the leaders in the faith community and the nonprofit community and some city employees to form a network called Change the Trend that really seeks to build social capital and build collaboration around addressing homelessness. From the get-go, the police department has been at that table. And I can say as a result, in the past 4.5 years, I think the relationship of trust between the service provider community and the police department has never been stronger. Concurrently with that initiative, the police department was partnering with the All Health Network, our local community mental health provider, to establish a co-responder program that was really leaning into this value of community policing that's been touched on so far. That program got up and running within the first couple of years. I believe it was 2018 that program started. And then just recently, we've added onto that program to employ a full-time case manager within the police department that's focused on connecting people experiencing homelessness with the appropriate services to serve their needs.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
All right, let's get a quick question from Margaret.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your great presentation. I wanted to ask about your emergency preparedness, which is of top priority to all cities, and your stormwater program. I know it's hard. Capital projects are expensive, and you mentioned the need to get buy-in from the community to raise rates. And I was just wondering how you measured your success in doing that and getting the buy-in from the community, because it's always a tough topic to have to raise rates on people.
Yeah, obviously it's a very difficult conversation to have. Obviously coming out of a pandemic as well, where many people are being burdened by either not being employed fully. But obviously, when the flood happened back in 2018, the rates were about $4 a quarter. And we had to raise that up to $31 as of today. And so that's a big impact on a lot of families. So the CAP program is obviously going to be a big part of that. open communication with our citizens in many different channels, either social media, face-to-face with council members. That has been a big part of it as well. But obviously open communication about what the impacts were, the fact that we didn't raise rates over a 20-year period, basically, and kept them low. So we weren't able to do the maintenance that were required to prevent something from happening like it did back in July 2018.
All right. Well, Englewood, Colorado, thank you so much for, I, as a former teacher, love seeing the classroom and all of the engagement from the participants there, which just really mirrors all the engagement that you are doing in your community. So thank you so much for being an All-America City finalist.
Thank you so much, Englewood. And that concludes our first block for our last day. We are actually not going to be needing our flex spots, which were going to be used in case of emergency. So a round of applause to every finalist so far for killing their presentation and not needing to use those emergency spots. And that means that everyone gets a little bit longer of a break this morning. So we will reconvene at 11:20 Mountain Time. So that's 11:20 Mountain Time. We will see you back for our final block of presentations, beginning with Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Again, 11:20 Mountain Time. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.